You're Good Now. It was a performance where he made that one top 8 performance, and ever since then has been a threat all and over, time and time again. He is now here as well, undefeated, going up against Luna, as we're getting to game number 1, Megd on Val versus Luna on the Thor.
Winner of this one has a guaranteed top 2 finish, is that right? Top 2
yes.
going to the grand finals. So that's going to be an amazing opportunity for either of them. And of course, Luna coming in with the Thor, no surprise to see. I will say that one person had Megd's name on his mouth, and that was Jabba. Jabba was the only other person who was like, y'all need to keep an eye out on Megd because he pops off in offline events.
Now, if we're looking at the characters that are on the screen right now, other than that Thor, of course, it's going to be Megd's Val. That's going to be the #1 character Megd has reported this year, and it doesn't matter what he's reporting because Luna got the takeout on the left side. One of the few times I feel like we've seen small Brawlhalla. I feel like I haven't even said that this entire weekend, and that's rare.
Yeah, the stage has been taken off the table from a lot of the stage picks here, but we're starting here on game number 1, which means we have the potential of seeing it a lot more. But after that sidelight, that gravity cancel sidelight side air on the orb, that's one of the rare cases where you get to see an early knockout from that weapon, and Luna going so deep to confirm that was fantastic. Megd goes for the sword recovery to take Luna off the top, but Luna dodges that second one, and he's looking for that weapon. Here it is, the orb, the Sair, not enough, bounces him off the stage. Can he get the edge guard here? Luna does not get back. Recovery takes him off the top and evens up the game 2-2.
For a moment there, you could kind of see that high defense of Thor play into this. Small Brawlhalla has some of the closest KO boxes in the game, and even so, Luna was surviving the recovery, surviving the side airs. He was able to live for a while, but he didn't get the extra credit that you want when you're living.
So one of the things I really like about this matchup right now is, yeah, Luna is definitely not the underdog going into this one. That's going to be Megd's role for a lot of people, but if you look at their lifetime matches, it's even. It's 5-5 in all tournaments. It's 18 games to 18 games between the two. So even though Luna is this giant heavy hitter who's reached some of the highest highs in Brawlhalla, they came up at the same time, both kind of pandemic players, and Luna is still even with Megd.
Yeah,
Megd is even with Luna.
That's incredible, because when you said the set count, that's one thing, but then you said that 50% split between
Dead
the games.
even.
Like, every game that we watch here is going to be either one player taking the overall lifetime lead from the other or tying it back up, right? And that's what we're watching right now. The winner of this is going to have that winning record in terms of their history in Brawlhalla. Megd goes in for that sider to try to take game number 1, but Luna nares his way back onto the stage and doesn't get punished for that gravity cancel sidelight as he Sairs Megd off and goes for that slide charge N-Sig, hoping that Megd would jump into it. He's been doing great at dodging those recoveries when they're by themselves, but when Megd hits the D-light right afterwards, you see even Luna looking at that and going, okay, last stock situation, but he just has to get one good sidelight side air on orb to finish it off.
I mean, again, it's a Thor, lots of KO combos with this character. Like you said, sidelight, side air, not going to be enough. He'll go off stage looking for the gravity cancel opportunity. Luna stays low and you don't see the dare, but that time you do, Luna's going to take game number 1.
That dare was so low to the ground. Like, he launched it, and then I swear 2 frames later, his feet were already on the ground. So he was so far away from Megd, basically able to escape any punish whatsoever in case that down air missed. But he didn't even have to think that far ahead because he thought so well about where he put that down air. Right over the corner, got that KO, taking this 1-0 already. That's a solid game 1 for Luna. He's got to be feeling good. That's a great way to start.
Yeah, for orb mains, definitely a down air spacing to aspire to master, right? You get that landing animation, but you don't get the bounce off the stage because you just barely get over the edge. Covers it so perfectly on small stages like Brawlhalla. And if not messing it up is so great because we've seen a lot of the times in the heat of the moment, orb dare will just bounce off the stage and you let the player get back for free. But not in that case. Luna using that dare for what I believe it's best designed for. And we're going into game number 2 with Luna taking that lifetime lead, 19-18. But every single one of these matches could, as I said, tie it up or give him an even bigger one.
Yo, Luna's got to be feeling good, though, because he has played the first 30 seconds unarmed, finally picks up a hammer, and Megd is going to add some damage. But Luna was just going in unarmed, did some optimal damage builds as well with that, like, down-like ground pound. But now that he's got the hammer, Megd's actually looking a little bit better.
One thing I'm noticing when I'm looking at the stats from the last game is even though Luna was definitely in the lead most of it, their damage per engagement was basically, wait, these are old stats. I'm sorry. I don't actually, these live stats are live.
Both the real ones. We get the side air from Luna here, and he's got no weapon here. As Luna is going back to the stage, the ground pound, but Megd dive kicking past the stage, getting the jumps back and avoiding the ground pound, makes it back and gets the nair. Neutral sig, dodged, punished. Megd with the gauntlets, gets the recovery. Let's see who can get the first stock. Here's the second recovery, hits one more. Ooh. Luna's low on jumps. The weapon throw means it doesn't even matter. Megd steals the lead from Luna in game 2.
Fantastic follow-up off the side air. He had the recovery that put Luna high, and Luna finally got past him. Megd hits him with the side air and then goes for the weapon toss following the angle of the launch. Luna is going to clean up the stock downlight side air. He's got his pick of weapons, and he's going to go in with the orb.
Now, interesting. I think he was so focused on wanting the orb there that he didn't even go for the juggle, because based on when Megd actually spawns back in and runs over to him to possibly pick up a weapon spawn or anything like that, he might be on the wrong weapon that he doesn't necessarily want right there. So rather than delaying the weapon spawn he could with a juggle, he specifically charges it so he can grab the orb right at the perfect time. But Megd has a huge lead here, definitely playing a lot of the ground game and doing the juggle on top of Luna.
I wonder if Megd is going to keep watching for these gravity cancel sidelights that Luna's putting out. We saw him get a huge lead with that in Brawlhalla in the first game, but as this game has been progressing, they haven't been connecting, and Megd hasn't gotten too hard of a punish, but oh, that down air was so beautiful, knowing Megd's dodge was gone, and the dive kick clipping Megd right before he's able to touch the stage. He sweats and he falls down to the bottom of the stage, and Luna takes the lead away from Megd. And you were just talking, Sparky, about how far ahead he was in the lead there, but Duke, he just ends up taking that away, and now it's 2-1.
I'm so surprised that down air did it. It was like just the toes that kept him away from touching the wall, and
it was
that's
a fiend
just
dare.
What he needed to do.
It was a fiend there for sure.
Now, one of the things that I think we're seeing right now is even though their matches together are dead even though their games are dead even though they came up together at the same time, we've seen Luna surpass, at least kind of until this weekend, at least so far, we've seen Luna surpass Megd, and I think that's really what we're seeing right here. Even though this game is very even, we saw Luna take game 1. Honestly, I expect Luna to take this, but Megd with the gauntlets in his hands, definitely keeping the damage build very even, not willing to give up even an inch of ground, knows that Luna is already up one game, doesn't want to go up 2-0 for Luna. That would require Megd to win 3 games in a row. Throwing out that signature on a not very damaged opponent, but maybe wanted the range of that down signature, going to be a longer range than any other move in the Gauntlet kit.
I like what Megd was doing there, knowing that he was at low damage, taking some of those weapon throws instead of dodging them, so that once the hit stun was done, he goes in for the sidelight. That side stick just catches Luna, and he has to go in for that gravity cancel neutral sig, but that recovery a little too telegraphed for Megd. As he gets the D-Light ground pound, it evens up the set 1-1.
Yeah, really good attempt from Luna. He went in with that gravity cancel end sig, which is like when Thor first came out, that was this thing everyone was looking at. Gravity cancel end sig for the recovery because you get so much distance on it. But Megd played it smart, played high above all the options Luna had, and once he burned it all, downlight, ground pound, easy KO. Megd ties it up 1 apiece.
Yeah, on top of the Thor defense survivability, right? There was a time where neutral sig was just so good that it had to be targeted, not for its damage, but for the fact that you could get back and double so well. And there we saw, as he used it as a recovery tool, which he had to get the distance, it gave Megd so much time to figure out where he could possibly go afterwards that he was able to get that knockout.
So while we have a moment to kind of breathe here, as we're looking at some of these replays in the last game, I'm looking at the number of times that we would have seen Megd get even really close to a position like this in his career. Spring Championships was top 3, fantastic for Megd, but the rest of it, I'm looking, and it's not a lot of official tournaments that he would have made it here. There are several community tournaments, but of course they don't hold the same level of pressure on a player like an official tournament, and definitely not what a LAN can put on someone. And the fact that Megd was able to go down in game 1 and then come back in game 2, tying up the set, bodes really well for the mental of Megd.
Yeah, not to mention that Megd was almost ahead that entire set, and Luna, when fighting him back, was able to get that incredibly early stock with that dive kick that we were talking about, where it looked like, Duke, you were saying, it barely hit him, yet it got him, and he didn't touch the stage.
I mean, that's such a good
right
skill to have, just like denying wall touches. I mean, that's like the what you're looking for with like Scythe or Gauntlets or Katars in the off stage is sometimes you're not even looking for the KO, but you're just looking for denial, and that's what you went with the unarmed. Currently tied 1 apiece. I think they're trying to decide what they're going to do because there's a lot of options here. Both of them have a reasonably wide character pool. They have a lot of maps that they could go to as well.
I'm glad you bring up the character pool because we saw the Val already, and we talked about how that is the most reported character for Megd, but that, of course, is just for the year of 2022. The #1 reported character is going to be Val. Second is Sidra, and then right behind that by 1 report is going to be that Asuri. Now, if we look back a year to 2021, the #1 reported character is going to be that Asuri. The second most is going to be Ember. So we started really knowing about Megd as a Qatar player, and even this year alone still plays quite a bit of Qatars with the Asuri pick every now and then, and with the Ember pick as well.
Yeah, but we're going into game number 3 here, and so far he doesn't seem to be wanting to shift from that legend just yet. It's been Val all today, and he's continuing with it here going into game 3 as this is what he got the win with it. He goes down deep for that nair, trying to get the reversals. Luna falls in the side air and avoids that sidelight completely, punishes the neutral light, and continues getting those orb nairs in there, but Megd fighting right back, as so far this game is neck to neck on Apocalypse.
Megd getting a couple more neutral wins, but he's not able to push it to too much. Luna keeping him on the offstage. Oh, what a 3-piece will put Megd in an awkward spot, and a ground pound will lead to the first KO of game number 3.
I swear, watching that ground pound just now, it literally looks like the slowest thing in the world, but also somehow being completely unavoidable.
I was wondering if you were going to go into that hammer ground pound conversation we were having when comparing with Poe again.
Yeah.
Right? Because the startup feels like it's something really reactable, right? But I feel like the best hammer players like Luna only use it when the only thing left that their opponent can do is go back to the area that they're covering with to begin with.
And the way that Luna used it was like running off the edge and then doing it there rather than starting off with a jump, queuing that up so Megd had plenty of time. Was that a misinput, or was that a mind game? Did he want a ground pound, or did he want a down sig? Dude, what do you think?
Slide charge, could have been just fall over ground pound. We've seen a couple of players, like even Fiend earlier, right, was trying to fall off the edge and go for that down ground pound, but right now it's giving a lot of opportunities for Luna to get more and more extra credit as he's already a full stock over Megd.
And look at that, Megd gets the sider to the left side of the stage, and look, 2 stocks to 2, Megd deep into the red, but we saw Luna in a similar position like this in the last game, where he was able to get it back with that light hit off the side of the stage, preventing that wall touch. But I don't know, Megd, after getting hit by that side air, being put in this recovery position now without a sword, Luna has been the best with Orb Dare today. I mean, all of those things that I feel like that the Orb down air is designed to do, the kit that it's there for when you get those wall bounces, when you go for that off stage, Luna's been getting it so accurately.
I mean, those grounded dares were something that you were calling out earlier. I love a good wall bounce dare as well. Luna, he's feeling himself. He's going for otter options, slide charge, and sig. He's feeling so good. I would not be surprised if he starts going for something tricky with like a weapon toss, pickup, down air.
Luna definitely looks in control of everything so far. Even when he's in the air and Megd sort of quote-unquote controls the ground. Even when Megd is in the power position on the edge guard situation, the neutral air gives Luna the safety he needs. That whiff gets punished by Luna. That whiff gets punished by Luna. Even if Megd was facing the right way, that wasn't going to hit based on Luna's perfect positioning.
Yeah, Megd was so startled by how quickly Luna got into his space that he tried to like position the neutral light with that fade back, and he just let that go too early. Megd does get the KO, but it is now deep red against Luna. Luna spawns right in, and talk about spawning right in with next to the weapon, puts up the neutral signature, and Megd actually hits him for quite a bit off of missing that, but that second one connects, and Megd barely survives.
Oop, the scoop up will finish it though. Luna up 2-1. He's 1 game away from going into that guaranteed Grand Finals top 2 finish.
Now, one thing I really want to talk about here is the damage per engagement between these two players. Megd coming in at 26. Based on a lot of the other numbers we've quoted today, that's not a bad number. So I'm not knocking Megd here whatsoever. What I'm doing is heaping praise onto Luna. 34 damage per engagement, building up that damage on not only the hammer, which you get like 2 hits, and that's a huge chunk of damage, but also on the orb as well. So he's showing the damage per engagement. His engagements with both weapons are going to be different based on the way the weapons are designed, the nature of those weapons, and he's using it effectively with both different play styles that you would use while using hammer and using orb.
And to highlight that, looking at just the damage that he was able to deal with the hammer, 195 compared to the orb's 303. So I feel like that damage per engagement is maybe being brought down by the hammer because of the really 2-hit style of it, whereas Orb, he's been getting a lot off of every single one of his wins. When we see that nair hit, he's just laddering up more nairs as he's following Megd, reading the jumps and reacting to the dodges. He's been getting so much damage because of that. And in that game number 3, Megd was not able to bring back that game nearly as closely as Luna was able to do in Game 2.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Luna's becoming more of like an orb player with a nice KO confirm with the hammer, right? Like he's getting all this damage built up with the orb, and then he's like, all right, time to finish the stock. Oh, I can't do a side light side air right now. Let me just go over to the hammer and get a down light side air.
Now we are finding ourselves here on the dome, something we, again, haven't really seen a lot this weekend, I feel. I could be remembering wrong, but I definitely have not watched a lot of dome gameplay here. So we've seen some different map picks from both of these players here, starting off with the small Brawlhalla, now going over to the Miami Dome, and we have Megd with a dub on the field, but we also have Luna now with 2 as we head into Game 4. Megd taking a little bit of a lead here, has Luna stuck up in the air, then stuck on those platforms. Orb gameplay coming out, recovery, sending off screen, but not quite enough, but here's the hammer. Duke, you were talking about this, he's going to be looking for this KO option.
Oh man, those nairs going back and forth, Megd dodging in place, Luna going down for that falling side air, and Megd not dashing forward, catching him on the pivot, gets the delay in the recovery, and gets the KO off the top in the first minute of the game. Luna looking for that weapon spawn. Which platform will it be? He reads it right, and he picks up the orb. And the neutral sig, all right, that's funny. I was thinking about this because I was like, technically, both of these legends have neutral sigs that can, with the right spacing, catch people on these absurdly high platforms compared to the other stages. I just didn't expect to see it coming in from Luna on a fresh stock.
Luna's been using that orb end sig a little bit more than I think other Thors will. It is going to be the downlight sider again as that KO confirmed, but it is worth mentioning, like, he's thrown that out a couple of times. They haven't really worked that great, but it is something that he's kind of showing Megd, like, hey, make sure you don't jump too much because I'm going to catch you if you slip.
So Megd picked up the first stock in this game, which is different than 2 of the previous games. But if we specifically compare it to last game, about 53% of last game was spent on Luna's first stock. This time, Megd grabbed the first stock, grabbed it early, and has fallen behind a little bit here, but we're already seeing maybe the tide start to change just a little bit. Megd's going to have to continue this throughout the entire game, and it might not happen whatsoever. Beautiful pickup to start it off, finishing that one off with a ground pound right around that corner. Megd had absolutely nowhere to go.
You saw the tide receding, but that's just the precipice of a tsunami coming from Luna.
No!
Oh my goodness!
That's actually, like, not good.
Ow.
Because they are not too far apart
Yeah,
right
he
now.
wasn't really that far ahead. And that was becoming the coolest orb highlight ever until you steered off the side of the road, right? Because that orb recovery, you can steer it slightly to the left, slightly to the right, and he went so hard left, he reared underneath the stage. Luna goes down, but the combo was sick. It just, yeah. So, you know, sometimes that happens. We're still in the game, and Megd, he might take full advantage of that and bring it to a Game 5, Duke. I mean, after that happened, Luna went down, and like you said, Sparky, he was only an orange when it happened.
I mean, it definitely gave some breathing room to Megd, right? Like, Luna was mounting a massive lead, and then suddenly Megd's like, oh, we're back to basically even, and there's a real possibility that Megd could take this to game number 5. The downlight recovery is not quite enough, but a couple more of those, maybe even a downlight side air from the right spot could do it.
Sparky's got him on the right side of the stage. Okay, the downer, we were talking about how you miss space, it'll bounce off the stage, and Luna with that high pressure gets the sidelight Sarah, and that's it, disarms the weapon, gets the KO, and Luna wins winners finals 3-1 and moves on into grands.
That was really fast.
Yeah.
Like, when that game ended, I was like, whoa, he got that KO faster. And then I looked down at the set count. I was like, whoa, he got that set faster than I thought. That was very quick for Luna. And that's what we were talking about early on with, even though their set counts in general are even, games are so even. But the fact